OLE, the utopian world of online education.
Hello and welcome to this session of Political Science with Milita Haldar. Today we'll be discussing a very new topic, the topic that is political parties. Because without discussing about the political parties, we cannot discuss or tell about the difference between what is politics and what about the constitution and what actually is politics in India. Because if we segregate the political system or the political parties from the political system of India, we cannot discuss about what actually is the political system of India. So to understand the political aspect of India, we have to study the political parties that we have in the political system of India. So let's begin. Now, the first question that comes up when we are discussing about political parties, the concept is, why do we need political parties? Or what's the requirement of a political parties in this political system of India? Or when we are talking about the political condition of the Indian administrative system, what's the need of the political parties? So, here we begin. Now, before we analyze the aspect of why do we need the political parties, we will be starting on with the aspect that what actually is a political party. Because to understand the importance or the need of political party, first you need to understand what's the actual meaning of a political party. So, here it is. The definition goes, a political party is a group of people who come together to contest elections and hold power in the government. They agree on some political policies and programs for the society with a view to promote the collective good. They tend to influence the people to accept their policies, and they want to win election through popular support. This is a very simple definition, because here the concept is a political party, because in a party that means there is no one individual, but there are a group of people who are coming together. And when they come together, then only they can form a party. Because when we talk about simple understanding, that when you talk about a birthday party, when you are talking about a birthday party, that does not just include you, but in a birthday party, there would be more than one people. So likewise, in a political party, the people have to be more than one. That is, more than one people, they come together. And as in your birthday party, there is a purpose of that party. That is you. If you have your birthday and if you have a party, so the concept is that you have a party. That's the purpose for which they have gathered together. Likewise, in a political party system, there is a purpose for which they come together. The purpose can be anything. It can be related to the social aspect, religious aspect, or any cultural aspect that we have. So they generally have one purpose for which they come together. The next is their aim is to hold a government or to form a government. Because if they are able to form a government, then only they will be able to actually promote their viewpoints, what they have in their mind. So thereby, it is very essential that first of all they should have a viewpoint with them, and when they come together, they generally, their main aim is to form a government. And for forming of this government, what they need is a moral support, or to say the support of the people who are living in that particular area, in that particular state boundary, to a local boundary, a state boundary, or a national boundary. So they tried or tend to influence the opinion of the people who are living that within the boundary, so that they could vote for them to power. So a political party can be segregated into parts. That is, they are a group of people, they come for a purpose, and they influence the opinion of the people who are living in that particular area. And they tend to generally promote good activities because whenever a party comes up, it does not comes up with a negative propaganda. It comes up with a very good propaganda, that a positivity is there, that positivity that is seen by the people who vote for them. So thereby it's very essential when you understand the political party, what is the actually meaning. Now, the political parties are generally, it involves partisanships. What is partisanship? That is a party which is known by parts. Simple definition, a party is known by which part it stands for. Because I told you there is a purpose for it. So there is a part due to which they are standing, for which they are standing, which policies it supports, and whose interest it upholds. Because whenever there is a purpose for anything, so that purpose has to be benefited, or the purpose has a benefit upon some people. Suppose I want to propagate about a particular thing, that yes, there is pollution, or when I am propagating any aspect of any policy that I want to frame up, so that policy should have a wider effect. Because if it does not has a wider effect upon the people, so why will the people vote for me? So that's a very important aspect when we are forming a party or we are coming in together, because our viewpoint or our policy that we are framing has to keep in mind that it must have a positive effect upon the people. Because when the people see that yes, if I vote for this particular party, so that party will give me benefit in this regard. So whenever there is a positive effect or positive impact upon the mind of the people, they tend to vote for them. And specifically, a political party can be divided into three categories. The first is the leader, the next is the active member, and the third is the follower. If you are a voter or if your family votes, then you come under followers. If any one of you are the member of a political party, you become the active members. And if you represent a political party in the government, you are the leader. So, if you can take in or go into the slide, you can very well have a three figure of, gorillas out there. And it specifies, or if you can identify the leader, the active member, and the follower among it, you'll be able, if you just see the stance, and you'll be able to define who is the leader, who is the active member, and who is the follower. Yes. So let's move ahead to the next new topic, that is the functions, or what are the purpose or functions of political parties. So, the political parties have different kind of functions. That functions that incorporate, or the functions they incorporate so as to make a political party and so as to influence the opinion of the people. What are the functions that they do have? Because any party that comes together must have a proper way of functioning. Because if I am coming together for any purpose or aim, if I don't have a particular propaganda in my mind, what are my functions? So it will be, it won't be a party, but it will be a crowd. So for a people who come together, there is a purpose in their mind, and they have a clear mindset what they have to do, what they don't have to do. So it all comes under your functions. So one by one we will be defining the functions to you and elaborating it. The first is contest elections. That's the major mind goal in their minds. That is to contest elections, because a political party, whatever or in whichever ground it has been framed up, the main aim or main base is to contest elections. The next is policies and programs. In a democracy, a large number of similar opinions have to be grouped together to provide a direction in which policies can be formulated by the government. This is what the parties do. Because without, as I have told you, without policies and programs, if they don't have a particular policy, if they don't have a particular program set in for what they need to do, they won't be able to form a party. And if they are able to form a party, they won't be able to influence the people who will vote for them. So thereby these policies and programs that they have, that results into the formation of the government, and at the same time these policies and programs also influence the government. Next, lawmaking. Though laws are debated and formed in parliament, but the leadership of a party has an influence on the member decision making power. It's a very obvious fact to know that lawmaking is the power of the parliament. That is, whenever a law, that is to say the constitution, because the constitution of India is basically a book of law that are being defined or written in a form of a book. So thereby it is also, constitution is the law of India, or to say the universal law of India. So whenever a law is formed, it cannot be formed in a just as a party cannot just form a law, but it has to frame a law in a parliament. But the parties can influence the formation or the forming of a law, how the law is implemented. So thereby the law's implementation and formation is very much affected by the political parties. Next, running of the government. Parties recruit leaders, train them, and then make them ministers to run the government in the way they want. Because the parties that form the government, they generally tend to follow the rules and dictums of the party. They cannot go against the dictums of the party. So thereby it happens to say that the political parties govern the governing system, or to say the government of India. Because the leaders who represent that political party, or the leaders who are appointed as leaders, tend to be affected by the policies and programs of the parties, or whatever the party has in its mind, the leader tend to implement the same when he comes to power. Next is role of opposition. The role of opposition is very important in this fact that it acts as a check and balance. That is, whenever a party that is in majority or that has formed the government, whenever it tries to implement any kind of rule, so thereby the opposition party can counterattack or can act as an obstruction whenever it finds it is going against the norms of the society. So thereby it acts as a check and balance for the government, so that the government does not become a dictator, but it is bounded by the laws, and it acts as it checks whether the government is following the laws and norms of the society or not. So thereby the role of opposition is very important in the political system of India. Now, shape public opinion. That is a very important factor when we are talking about, or when we are discussing about how the public opinion is being framed up. Because actually the political parties only, they tend to influence the mindset of the people, what they think and how they should frame up, or how they should come up, or what they should do. So thereby it has a very, to say, sometime positive and sometime negative influence upon the opinion of the public. Next, public access to government machinery. Access to government machinery, it makes easier for them to approach the government machinery. Why it is so? Because parties often provide to the different machinery of the government. For this, party appoints local representatives in the areas. Because the parties provide or appoint local representative in local areas, the people who are living in that particular area can come up with their problems, to that particular, to say, the local representative of that party or the government, and then that political leader or that entity can take this problem to the political unit or the government. So thereby the problem from the common people, or to say the people living in that particular area, is reaching to the government. So the political parties often act as a mediator between the common man and the government, the common man and the political parties. So thereby it gives easy access to the people to reach or make their problem known, and the political parties or the government to know the problem, what actually is the problem. So thereby political party act as a mediator, so that the problem can be accessed, known, and be solved. Now, before moving ahead, we have to realize the necessity of the political parties in India. What are the necessities? So, the first necessity is parties organize democracy, because without the political parties we cannot think of democracy. Why? Because they recruit and nominate candidates and structure the competition. Because the political parties only recruit and nominate the candidates, and they often structure the competition. Because without the political parties there won't be a competition among the people, or to say competition among the administrative or political system of India. So because there are differentiation, or the different parties are there, or so thereby different parties have different viewpoints, and thereby there is a competition in the sense for the betterment of the society, because there will be competition to do something good for the people. So thereby it has a positive effect upon the democratic system of India. Next, without them voters would face the daunting task of choosing from among scores of candidates. Because if there are no political parties, there will be a number of candidates who will come up to each and every individual of the society, and it will be very difficult to define or to opt for which candidate they want, or which candidate they want to vote for. So thereby political parties, what they do is they act as a limiter, or to say they limit the amount of candidates, because there are huge number of people who have come together with one aim. So thereby these people then nominate one candidate from their political party. So thereby the number of candidates who can represent or who are standing for election reduces a lot. Next, in the sense party simplifies democracy and voting. Thereby it very much simplifies the democratic system and the voting system. Because if one and every citizen of India, because if there are no political parties, I can stand in the election, anyone can stand in the election. So thereby there will be a number of people, and because when there are number of choices are there, then there is confusion. So thereby it is very much easier when we have lesser number of candidates, then we can choose from one of them. So thereby it helps into the democratic system of India, to run the democratic system of India. For running of the democratic system of India, we need political parties. Next aspect. The first aspect was it organizes democratic system of India. Next is parties in a broad sense stand for a particular view of the role of the government. As I have told you, that the government represents the viewpoint of the party, and if I take the vice versa point, the party reflects the viewpoint of the government. Now, with each point I'll be explaining to you. The first point is they stake out positions on issues like health care energy, the environment, foreign and defense policies, and at times issues like civil rights. So thereby, because the government wants to popularize or wants to, gain importance so that the people can know the various aspects that is related to energy conservation or that are related to health and care, so thereby they can take the part of the, or they can take the help of the political party or the candidates of the political parties who are their followers, so that those programs can reach to each and every unit of the state, of the nation. So thereby political party play a very important role, because often the national political parties are not just, confined to one particular area, but it spreads out to the whole of the nation. So thereby whatever plans and policies the government has, the effective implementation can be only done when these political parties or the followers of these political parties act effectively, take these policies and programs, what are the benefits of it to the local people, so that the local people can understand and adopt according to it. Next is, the orientation of parties can change, and it's easier to change a party's direction than to start a new party. So thereby often the orientation can change. Orientation means my viewpoint about certain thing can change. Whatever I have a aim, suppose when I was very young, or when I had a chance to define my aim, I can aim for being an army officer. Then I can gradually, with time passing, my aim changes. So thereby the political party likewise has an effect upon the aim and policies. So it can help the government to change the aims and policies of the government system or the political parties, because they get to know the local influence, or get to know the local problems. So because they tend to understand the local problems, as I have already discussed with you, they have mediators in the local areas, so thereby their policies can change from one year to another year, or for one financial year to another financial years. So thereby they don't have to form a different political parties. They just have to change their viewpoint. What the aim was, they can change it in the next year. Next, parties can also play an important role for citizen in a democracy by providing important clues to voters about the electoral competition. This is in a way through which the political party have an influence upon the people who tend to vote for them, because they can influence their viewpoint. This I have already discussed with you. So thereby the political party play a very important role so as to influence the thought process of the people who are going to vote for a political party or any political party in an election. Next, how many parties should we have? This is a very important question, that when we have to think about how many political parties should we have, because a limitation has to be there, or there shouldn't be a limitation. That's the major factor that we'll be discussing. What is political party system? A political party system is not something any country can choose. It's a very important aspect for you to understand, because you cannot define a political party system. A country cannot choose a political party system. It evolves over a longer period of time. Because I'll be discussing later on the different party system that we have in different parts of the country, or to different parts of the country in the world. So it generally all the countries do not just opt in for a particular kind of party system, but the party system, whatever they want, it evolves with time period. That is, a party system that was previously may be changed, because as I have told you that the aims and policies of any party can change. So thereby, because whenever I am following a particular kind of policy framework in my mind, when I go through it, I find certain negativity to it, certain positivity to it. When I take and balance it out, if I find that the positivity is more and the negativity is less, I will opt for that particular kind of policy. But when I find that the negativity is more and the positivity is less, so I can change my viewpoint from viewpoint number 1 to viewpoint number 2. So thereby it helps into the framing up of the political system also, and this has gradually evolved with time period. So coming to the main point, that is, what are the different types of party system we have in the various countries throughout the world. The first is the one party system. Now, one party system is generally not, the other parties are not allowed to form the government. Electoral system does not permit free competition for power. Only one party is allowed to be elected in or can be elected to form the government, though there are number of parties they are there, but they are not allowed to be elected, or they are not allowed to stand in the election. So thereby it is a very complicated system where only one party stands up in election and only that party is elected to form the government. And this type of one party system is followed in China, where they have only Communist Party. Next is your two party system. In this particular system, they have two different parties, and these two different parties then tend to have elections, or they are the two major parties and they compete with each others. They have several other parties that they may run for election, but among the two major parties only there is a kind of election that happens only among the two major parties. That this kind of two party system you have in USA as well as in the United Kingdoms. These are the two major states where they have only two major parties, and you have to choose from this two party only. As you have in United States, that is Republican and Democratic. These are the only two party that you have, and you have to choose among them whom you want to vote for. The next is your multiple party system, and this is in India, where there are several number of parties are available for you to choose from, and you can choose whichever party has the policies and programs that best suits you, and you can always vote for them whenever or whichever you want to. This system allows a variety of interest and opinions to enjoy. Because I have a variety of opinions for myself, I can opt for any opinion that I have. Whatever opinions they put forward for us, I can opt for them. So thereby it helps into a proper implementation of democratic system in India. Sorry for the disturbance. Next is your national parties. Now, when we are talking about the national parties, these are the parties that we have in India that is governed through, or that is the governing body that governs India, whole of the country of India. So thereby these all come under your national parties that are found, or the political parties are found throughout the different states of India. So they are known as the national parties. So there are some of the points that I'll be discussing with you. Go through it. It is very easy. First is, there are some country-wide parties which are known as national parties. This I have discussed. These parties have their units in various states, but by and large all these units follow the same policies, programs and strategy that is decided at the national level. Very easy. It has different units in various parts of the country, but one of the unit, or only the national party, or the national party, whatever decision is taken by the national party, or the main head office of that party, whatever decision is taken by them, all the parties of that same party, Suppose I take party number A or party A. So the party A, whatever frames and policies party A forms, all the state, this party A must be having units in different states of the country, and every state has to follow, or every party that are in the state have to follow whatever the national party or the head office of that party frames the law. Whatever it says, if they say that you have to go in for this, each and every unit of that party has to follow the norms that is set in by that particular. Just like if I say cricket match, the captain is there and all the players are there in the field, and just imagine if they are fielding. So whenever they are fielding, the captain decides where each and every fielder has to be. So thereby, because the captain decides, so each and every individual who is in the field, the placement is decided by the captain. So thereby, each and every member have to obey what the captain says, though they are in themselves a different identity. They are in the field and the captain is also in the field, but they have to follow the norms what the captain is saying. So likewise, this is the same very system in the national party system. Next, every party in the country has to register with the election commission. This is very important, because without getting registered in the election commission, no party is recognized. So thereby they have to get registered, and the election commission treats all the political parties equally. Next, parties are given a very unique symbol, because in your first slide I have tend to show you the different, the different party symbols they have, and there are a large number of parties in India. As you know, we follow multiple party system, and we have a large number of, to say, your signs, or to say unique symbols that they have. Next, detailed guidelines are put forward by Election Commission for the parties and the conduction of elections. And these, because the Election Commission acts as an umpire to say in this cricket match of political party system, so thereby the umpire lays down the rules and regulations, what are the rules and regulations that they have to follow, and how much they can expend in the, or how they can conduct the election. So the election is to say the election system to say is properly governed by the Election Commission of India. A party that secures at least 6% of the total votes in an election to the Legislative Assembly of a state and wins at least 2 seats is recognized as a state party. This is a very important aspect when we are discussing about the party system in India. So what is, or how a state party or a party can be known as a state party? There is some criteria to it, and the criteria has been given to here, that it has at least to gain 6% of the total votes in the election and at least gain 2 seats in the state legislative assembly. So thereby, it's, if in election the party is not able to fulfill these 2 criteria, they are not, or their, to say, the recognition of that party is cancelled. Next is a party that secures at least 6% of the total votes in Lok Sabha election or assembly election in 4 states and wins at least 4 seats in the Lok Sabha is recognized as a national party. This is again now the criteria of a national party, where they have to win 6% of the total votes in a Lok Sabha election, that is the election that is being covered or done throughout the state of, or throughout the administrative boundary of India, and the first criteria is 6% of the total Lok Sabha seats in the Lok Sabha election, as well as in 4 states or assembly elections in 4 states. Whenever assembly elections happen, they have to win at least 4 states. In 4 states, then 4 states and at least 4 seats, then only they can be known as a national party. So thereby they have to fulfill this particular criteria so as to come up to say or to frame up a political party system or a national party system. So these two headings about how a state or what are the criterias of forming a state party or a national party, this can come up in your short notes. So go through it, and it's a aspect that you have to learn by heart. Next is list of political parties. That is very easy for you to go through it, because as you know there are large number of parties to say as in the registered whatever parties, the parties that we have in India, that is 2,598 parties that we have registered in India, with 8 national parties and 52 state parties, and the rest 2,538 are unrecognized parties that we have in India. So imagine the number of political party system that we have in India. Next, there is a list given below of the various political parties or the national parties we have in India. Now comes the major aspect to it. What are the challenges that the political parties generally face when in the democratic system of India? First is the lack of internal democracy. That's a very important factor, because though they are propagating the aspect of democratic system in India, but they themselves lack the democratic policy frame up when they are forming that political party system. Why we are saying this? The communication, there is a huge communication gap between the leaders and the common party workers. It often happens the common party workers or the people who are living in the local area or the local party workers, there is a huge gap. They are not able to convey their viewpoints to the political leaders of a political or a political unit, because there is a communication gap, and often there is no transparency, and the common party worker do not have a say in the functioning of the political party system, because often the people who belong to a very a very secluded place, they are not able to project their need or what is the exact need of the people to the political party system, because they are not able to come in contact with the political leaders, and they are not able to propagate what actually is the need and requirement. The next is your dynastic succession. This is a very much aspect that is very much related to the first point. Dynastic succession means that often the leadership goes or is passed on from one family or within the family only, from one person of the same family to another person of the same family. So thereby it becomes a dynastic succession that was very much being practiced under the the Maharajas, and this is now predominantly what we are seeing in the Indian democratic system also. Next is your money and muscle power. That is a very important aspect when we are discussing about the democratic system of India, because the parties tend to nominate only the candidates who can raise money for them, those who are rich, and often rich people and companies who give funds to the parties and tend to have influence on the policies and decisions of the party, they only are given prominence. So thereby those people who come or who are weak or poor, they are not able to propagate or influence the ideas of the political party system in India. Next is your meaningful choice. Though there are number of parties, but they lack ideological differentiation. Those who want really different policies have no option available to them. Sometimes people cannot even elect very different leaders. This is a very fine difference is there between the political parties that we have right now. Often the different political parties contest the election on very same policies and programs. So thereby the people are confused whom to opt for, because if you have ever been to a shopping mall or if you go to a marketplace and you have a bottle of jams in front of you, and every jam has been giving you or is giving the same amount with the same free gift to you. So it's a very difficult choice to make because I'm not able to understand what or which jam I should choose for myself. In the same very way, it happens if you have the same policy and programs. So the people find very difficult to choose from, and often what I have in my mind, or I may want a different kind of aspect of policies is there in my mind, but I'm not finding anyone different from them. So thereby it affects my decision. Now, how can the political parties be reformed? This is an important aspect because we have to follow, because the political party system of the form the government, and how can they be reformed? This you should know because you are the next leaders. So the constitution was amended to prevent elected MLAs and MPs from changing parties. This was the main aim, or through which the constitution tried to have an influence upon the MPs and MLA, because it was observed that these MPs and MLA were drifting from one party to another party and changing parties very regularly after getting elected, because they were just drifting due to money power or muscle power. Just to gain that, they were drifting from one party to another. So this was curtailed by the Election Commission of India. Next, the Supreme Court passed an order to reduce the influence of money and criminals. Now it is mandatory for every candidate who contests elections to file an affidavit giving details of the property and criminal cases pending. So this is again a very important factor because it makes it mandatory for each, and mandatory, that is compulsory for each and every candidate who wants to stand for election to showcase or file an affidavit that will tell about how much property they have or what kind of criminal acts they have done. Next, the Election Commission passed an order making it necessary for political parties to hold their organizational elections and file their income tax returns. Now, it makes, or the Election Commission has asked them to form or to have their own organizational elections. That is organizational election. That means that they can elect their leader among themselves or whatever they want. So the rights have been given to the political parties to elect their own leaders or elect the members who they want to represent as or in the government system. So thereby it's very essential, or to say, right, that was given to the political parties of India. And otherwise, the other aspects that are can be incorporated, that is, a law should be made to regulate the internal affairs of political party system. This is a proposal that is being made so that the political parties should have, or there should be a transparency of in the how they are framing their policies or what they are actually doing within the political party system. Next is, it should be made mandatory for political parties to give a minimum number of tickets, about 1/3 to women candidates. This is again a proposal for so as to have women empowerment, and this can be also practiced, or this can be also done for the weaker section or the minorities, so that they can have a proper representation in the political party system, or to say the government of India. So I hope you have understood each and every aspect that I have discussed with you. Go through the glossary if you find it any difficulty. Several factors I have discussed here, so as to incorporate those aspects that I may have left behind, and go through the questions. If you are able to answer these particular questions, you must you be sure you pass through this chapter very easily. So thank you for everything. Stay focused, stay tuned.